The human military base on planet Raxion 7 was not meant for alien visitors. It was cold, gray, and heavily guarded with machines and soldiers. But still, an alien girl had entered without anyone noticing. Her name was Kira. She was young, small, with soft violet skin and glowing blue eyes. Her race, the Valari, had always avoided humans. But she was different, curious, hungry, and very lost. She had been wandering the base corridors for hours. Nobody paid attention to her. She moved silently like a shadow. Her stomach growled, and her mouth was dry. She just needed food or something to drink. That's when she found a heavy metal door. It had red warning signs in human language. But she couldn't read them. It was slightly open, and no one was inside. She looked left, then right, and quietly slipped in. Inside, glowing lights blinked on the walls. Shelves were full of sealed containers, metal cases, and strange vials. The air smelled strange, like fire, metal, and something dangerous. But in the corner, she saw a small bottle glowing faint green. It looked like a drink, at least to her. She picked it up, sniffed it, and shrugged. Maybe just one sip, she whispered to herself. She didn't know it was marked. Warning: experimental human combat serum. Not for civilian or alien use. She drank it. At first, it tasted sweet, then hot. Her throat burned slightly, but she swallowed it all. Then, for a moment, nothing, but then came the fire. It started in her chest and moved through her whole body like heat waves. She gasped, grabbing the shelf for balance. Her skin flushed, heart thumped faster, and her knees trembled. "What's happening to me?" she whispered, panicked. She stumbled backward and fell against the wall. She started sweating, her breath short and sharp, and the heat, it wasn't normal. It was something deeper, something she didn't understand, but it was real. The serum wasn't made for her species. Her body didn't know how to handle it, so it reacted violently. Emotions flooded her brain. Strange sensations ran through her skin. She felt something wild, something she never felt before. Suddenly, the door slammed open. A tall human soldier entered, looking surprised. His name was Private Cole. He had short brown hair, a strong build, and calm eyes. He froze when he saw her shaking on the floor. "Kira?" he said, recognizing her from earlier on the base. He ran to her and held her up. She looked up at him, her eyes wide, glowing slightly now. "What's happening to me?" she whispered, clinging to his arm. He looked around and saw the empty green vial in her hand. His face turned pale. "Oh no." He muttered. "Tell me you didn't drink that." She nodded slowly, confused and scared. "I was thirsty. I didn't know." Cole's heart started racing. She had just swallowed a serum made for human soldiers. A serum designed to heighten aggression, senses, and adrenaline. It was never tested on aliens. No one even considered it. "We need to get you somewhere safe," he said. She tried to stand, but her legs buckled. He caught her, gently lifting her into his arms. Her skin was burning hot against his. She wasn't just sick. Something inside her was changing, and fast, as he carried her down the hall. She buried her face against his chest. Her fingers gripped his uniform tightly. "Don't let them hurt me," she whispered, shaking. He didn't answer, but he held her tighter. Other soldiers walked past but said nothing. To them, it just looked like a medic emergency. Only Cole knew what she had taken and what it might do to her. He reached the door to his quarters and quickly stepped inside, locked it, placed her on the bed, and sat beside her. She curled up, still trembling, her breathing fast. Her skin had a soft glow now, and her heartbeat echoed in the room like a drum. Cole grabbed a cloth and wiped the sweat from her forehead. "I'll help you," he said, more to himself than to her. "But what do I do now?" She looked at him, eyes full of fear and something else, something new, something dangerous. And then she softly said, "Why does it feel like my body wants you close?" Private Cole sat on the edge of the bed, watching the alien girl curl up in his blanket. Her skin was shining. With sweat, her chest rising and falling quickly, he had seen injured soldiers, infected crew members, even poisoned aliens, but nothing like this. Kira's eyes were wide. Glowing a faint blue, her lips trembled, and her hands gripped the blanket tightly. Her body temperature was rising fast. And her voice had changed, softer, more breathy, almost like she was embarrassed by her own body. "Why is it so hot?" she whispered, her face buried against the pillow. "I feel like my skin is alive, like my nerves are on fire." She turned her head and locked eyes with him. "Why does it feel better?" "When you're close to me." Cole's heart pounded. He swallowed hard and looked at the empty vial again. That serum wasn't just for strength, was military-grade biological enhancement. Meant for humans, it boosted speed, aggression, and sensitivity. But it also had side effects, especially on the mind, especially on emotions tied to instincts. He had seen test results where male soldiers became hyper-alert, even protective. But Kira, she wasn't even human, and her reaction was far more intense than any human subject. "I shouldn't have taken that," she whispered, slowly sitting up. Her legs wobbled, and she reached for his hand to steady herself. The moment her skin touched his, a jolt ran through both of them. Kira gasped. Her eyes fluttered, her fingers squeezing his. Cole felt it too, a strange warmth traveling through his arm. His training told him to let go, but he didn't. Instead, he held her hand tighter. "You didn't do anything wrong," he said gently. "You didn't know what it was, but now we need to keep this quiet." "Quiet?" she asked, blinking slowly. "Yes," he said firmly. "If anyone finds out you drank military serum, they'll lock you up, study you, maybe even dissect you." Her face turned pale, her breathing shallow. "No. Please, no. I didn't mean to." "I know," he interrupted, placing his other hand on her shoulder. "I'll protect you, okay? But we need to figure out what this serum is doing to your body." Suddenly, Kira shivered. Not from fear, but something else. She leaned forward, placing her head against his chest. "I don't want to be alone. It hurts more when you're far." Her words sent a chill down his spine. Was the serum linking her emotions to proximity? Was her nervous system bonding to him somehow? "Kira, listen to me," he said. "I need you to focus." She looked up at him, eyes glassy, skin flushed. "I'm trying. But everything is confusing. My skin is too soft. My heart is too fast, and when you touch me, it calms the storm." Cole looked around the room, then moved to grab a bioscanner. He placed it on her arm. Mitt blinked red, then blinked faster. "Heart rate, double normal," he read out loud. "Adrenaline levels, critical temperature, unstable." He looked at her seriously. "This is getting worse. What do I do?" she asked, her voice cracking. "Just lie down," he said, guiding her gently to the bed again. "I'm going to stay right here. Just breathe slowly." As she lay down, she held his hand again, not out of romance, but survival. The moment he tried to pull away, her body trembled, so he sat beside her, holding her hand for hours. Time passed slowly. Her breathing steadied a little, but the heat never left her skin. Her body was glowing faintly in the dim room. Oh, she looked like a sleeping star, dangerous and fragile. Then a sharp knock echoed. Through the door, Cole stood quickly, letting go of her hand for a second. She whimpered and curled tighter. "Please, don't go." "Coming." Cole called toward the door, then turned back to her. "I'll just be a second," he whispered, and opened it slightly. A fellow soldier stood outside, arms crossed. "You okay, Cole?" "We got a scanner alert. High energy signature in your section." Cole faked a yawn. "Just running a hot water test." "No worries." The soldier looked suspicious, but nodded. All right, stay safe. Commands looking for a stolen vial green glow. Top-level clearance. Cole's heart dropped. Didn't see anything like that, he lied. As soon as the door shut, he turned back to Kira. Her eyes were open now, glowing softly in the dark. They're searching, aren't they? She asked quietly. He nodded. I'll keep you hidden, he promised. But Kira, your body's changing fast. If this keeps up, she looked at him with a soft, strange smile. Then don't leave me, she whispered. Because I think you're the only thing keeping me alive. Cole couldn't sleep, not because of noise, but because of Kira. She was lying just a few feet away on his bunk, wrapped in his blanket, trembling in silence. Her eyes closed tightly, her body still glowing softly, and her skin looked almost fragile now, like it would crack if touched wrong. He hadn't meant to bring her to his room, but what else could he do? The moment he'd tried leaving her in the medbay, she had panicked, cried, and her vitals had spiked dangerously. Now, she only calmed when he was nearby, and every time she reached for him, his body responded in ways he couldn't explain. He was a soldier, trained for war, trained to follow orders. Not this. Not to babysit a glowing alien girl whose body was reacting to a serum meant for combat ready. Humans, he looked over at her again. Her eyes opened slowly and found his. Are you still here? She whispered, her voice faint like wind through leaves. He nodded. Yeah. Still here, she exhaled, as if her lungs were waiting for his answer. Then, gently, she sat up. Her skin shimmered under the dim ceiling light, and a tear slid down her cheek. I'm scared, she said, her voice shaking. I don't understand what's happening to me. She looked at her glowing fingers. Flexing them like they weren't hers, my body feels strange. Like it's waiting for something I don't understand. Cole stood up and walked closer. He grabbed a towel, wiped her forehead softly. You drank a formula that wasn't made. For your kind, he said, it's probably forcing your body to adapt to mine, to my energy. She reached up suddenly and grabbed his wrist. Her fingers were warmer than before, pulsing with heat. I feel better when you're touching me, she said, without blinking. But when you leave me, feels like my skin is screaming. Cole swallowed hard. This wasn't normal. Not medically, not emotionally, but more than anything it was dangerous. You're forming a bond, he muttered aloud, like imprinting. Kira nodded slowly. I don't know what that word means, but I feel it. Her breathing picked up again, and her eyes began glowing brighter. It's like I need you near, or I'll fall apart inside. Cole didn't know what to say. He wasn't some emotional hero from the movies. He was just a soldier with a quiet job and quiet life. And now this strange alien girl had bonded with him by accident. He slowly sat beside her again. She didn't say anything, but leaned slightly toward him. Her shoulder brushed his, and instantly, her breathing slowed. She sighed in relief, as if the fire inside her body had been tamed for a moment. I don't want to feel like this, she whispered. But if I must. I'm glad you're the one here. Her words hit him harder than any bullet. He didn't know what to say, so he stayed silent. Minutes passed, maybe hours. Then Kira leaned her head on his shoulder. You feel safe, she murmured. And? Warm? He didn't move. He didn't pull away. He just let her stay there. Then she added something that made his heart skip. If something happens to me, promise me you won't let them take my body. Cole looked at her sharply. Don't say that. But it's true, she replied calmly. If the serum keeps changing me and I lose control, they'll want to study me. I'll just be another lab test to them. She looked into his eyes. But to you, I'm still a girl, right? Not a weapon. Cole nodded slowly. You're not a test subject. You're Kira, he said quietly. That's all that matters. Suddenly, her hand moved to his chest, not forcefully, just gently. Resting over his heartbeat, she closed her eyes and a soft smile spread across her lips. There. Now I can sleep. Cole froze. Not because of her touch, but because his own body reacted. His pulse quickened. Okay. And warmth spread across his chest, like something deep inside him was answering her bond. He didn't understand it, but he knew one thing. She needed him. And not in a romantic way. Not yet. She needed him to survive. As she drifted to sleep with her hand on his chest, Cole looked down at her glowing skin. Her gentle breathing, her soft form curled beside him, and he whispered, "I'm not going anywhere." "You're not alone anymore." Outside the room, the alarms remained silent, but somewhere deep in the base, the scientists had discovered the missing vial. And they were already tracing the heat signals to this very room. Kira woke up with a gasp. Her body jerked slightly, and her skin shimmered again with that soft, violet glow. Her hand was still on Cole's chest, and he was still sitting beside her awake, watching over her. For a second, she looked confused, like she had just escaped a nightmare. Then her eyes focused on his face and relaxed. "You didn't leave," she whispered, voice rough from sleep. "I told you I wouldn't," Cole said gently. Kira sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes, but the moment she pulled her hand away from his chest, she winced. The heat returned like a wave, and her whole body shivered. Cole noticed it instantly. "You okay?" "No," she whispered. "When I let go of you, it comes back harder." She looked down at her arms, now faintly glowing with pulsing lines like living veins of light. "It's getting worse, Cole," she said, her voice shaking. "My body's not just changing, it's craving something. Something I don't even understand." Cole stood up and started pacing. He couldn't keep her here forever. The command staff would notice her missing. The scientists were already scanning for high-energy readings, and sooner or later, someone would come knocking again. But if they found Kira like this, they wouldn't ask questions. They'd strap her to a table and start running tests. She was now a living mystery, a biological fusion of alien DNA and top-secret military chemicals. And worse, she was getting more bonded to him every hour. Like her body had rewired itself to match his presence. "I can't stay like this," Kira said suddenly. Her voice had more edge, now almost a desperate tone. "I'm trying to stay calm, but every time you move away, my chest tightens, and I feel dizzy." Cole paused and turned to her. He saw the panic in her eyes. Not weakness, but fear. Real, honest fear from a girl who didn't ask for any of this. "I don't want to be some broken creature," she said, her hands trembling. "I don't want to become something disgusting, something unrecognizable." She looked up at him. "But I think you're the only thing keeping me from falling apart." Cole sat beside her again. Her body leaned toward him like a flower to sunlight. "I'm here," he said, "but we need to find a way to stop this. We can't stay locked in this room forever." Suddenly, the lights in the hallway outside flickered. A soft alarm sound echoed down the corridor. Motion sweep. Someone was doing a thermal scan. Cole cursed under his breath. "They're getting closer." Kira's eyes widened. "They'll find me, not if I move." "You now," he said quickly, standing and grabbing his jacket. But Kira grabbed his wrist with both hands. "Don't leave me," she cried, her eyes wild. "If you walk out that door without me, I'll collapse. My body won't handle it." "I'm not leaving without you," he said firmly. "I just need to think fast." He looked around the room, then spotted the maintenance hatch under his bunk. It led to the base's lower tunnels where old supply pipes and unused storerooms remained, mostly ignored, mostly forgotten. "I have an idea," he said, moving the bunk with one hard pull. Metal screeched, and dust flew up, but there it was. The square panel. He dropped to his knees and yanked it open, revealing a dark, narrow shaft below. "It's cramped, but it's safe," he said, We can hide there until I figure something out." Kira tried to stand, but her legs shook again. Cole quickly caught her and pulled her close. Her body instantly relaxed. "You have to carry me," she whispered. "Please." He nodded and scooped her up carefully. She wrapped her arms around his neck, resting her forehead near his collar. Even now, when everything was falling apart, her touch still felt warm. He climbed down the hatch one step at a time, holding her close. The tunnel below was dark, dusty, and quiet. He found an old storage bench, laid her gently on it, and sat beside her. "Is it always going to feel like this?" she asked softly. "This fire inside me?" "I don't know," he replied honestly, "but I promise I'll find someone who does." She turned her head toward him. "I trust you," she whispered, "even though I barely know you. My body picked you, and now my mind is trying to catch up." Cole didn't know how to respond to that, so he just sat with her, held her hand, and kept quiet. The base above was full of soldiers, scanners, rules, and walls. But down here, it was just him and a girl who shouldn't even be alive after what she drank, and yet, here she was, glowing softly in the dark, holding his hand like it was the last thing in the world keeping her from breaking apart. And maybe, just maybe, it was. Darkness surrounded them in the narrow storage tunnel. Pipes ran above their heads. Old wires hung like cobwebs, and the only sound was the low hum of the military base echoing above them. Kira lay on the cold bench, her breathing shallow, her skin still glowing faintly. Cole sat beside her, one hand holding hers, never letting go. Every time he tried to shift even slightly away, her body twitched. The bond between them was no longer emotional. It was physical, biological, and dangerously unstable. "She'll burn out like a light bulb if I don't act soon," he whispered to himself. Then he remembered the scientist who had helped build the serum. Dr. Lenora Miles. She had disappeared from the lab 6 months ago after an ethics disagreement. Rumor was, she now lived in the restricted lower zones, away from command control. And if anyone could help Kira, it would be her. "I need to reach her," he said out loud. Kira blinked, her eyes heavy. "Who?" "Someone who might fix this," he replied. "But I need to leave for a few minutes to find her." Kira's fingers tightened around his hand. "No, please. Please don't go," she begged. "When you leave, it hurts so much it feels like my heart stops." Cole looked into her glowing eyes filled with panic. "I'll come back," he said firmly. "I promise. But if I don't go, you'll die down here." She stared at him, silent for a long moment. Then finally, she nodded weakly. "But, T, can I give you something?" she asked softly. He blinked, confused. "What?" She reached up and placed her glowing fingers gently on his neck. A warm pulse moved into his skin like static electricity. "What did you do?" he asked quickly. "Now I can feel you," she whispered. "If you're too far, my body will know if something happens. To you, I'll know." Cole didn't understand how that was possible. But he had no time to ask. He tucked her safely under the thermal blanket, placed a pulse sensor on her wrist, and climbed back up the hatch before disappearing. He looked down one last time. "Stay hidden, stay breathing. I'll come back," and then he was gone. Above, the base was no longer calm. Armed guards moved down the halls, whispering orders. Someone had discovered an unauthorized heat signal in the tunnels. A gruff voice barked, "Something's down there, possibly alive. Move." Cole moved fast, using dark corners and old access doors to stay hidden. His military ID still worked, but only just. He reached the sealed gate that led to the restricted research zone, swiped his ID. Red light. Access denied. He cursed under his breath, then pulled out a broken keycard he had repaired long ago, a trick most soldiers didn't even know existed. He swiped it. Green light. The gate hissed open. Inside was a silent world, dusty machines, shattered tablets, walls covered in research charts, and in the middle, sitting beside a humming generator, was her, Dr. Lenora Miles, gray coat, silver hair tied back. Tired eyes. "You look like hell," she said calmly as Cole entered. "I've seen worse," he replied. "What brings a soldier to the ghost zone?" she asked. "A girl. Alien." "She drank the serum," he said. Wasting no time, Lenora stood immediately. "What? That formula isn't made for alien biology." Her system should have crashed in minutes. "It didn't," Cole said. "She bonded to me." Dr. Miles blinked, stunned. "Impossible. Unless..." She walked to a console and started typing. "Unless her genetic code merged with the serum's emotional anchors." "She said she feels safe only when I'm near," Cole said. "She starts to burn when I pull away." Lenora looked up. "Serious now. She's imprinting. Full emotional chemical imprint. The serum linked her to you because her body was trying to survive without you. She eventually shut down completely hard, nerves, everything." "Then what do I do?" Cole asked. "Can you stop it?" Lenora looked unsure. "I might be able to stabilize her, but not without samples. I need blood, skin readings, and her vitals. They're below the base. But guards are closing in," he said. Lenora grabbed a kit, zipped it shut, and met his eyes. "Then we go now, or she doesn't make it." Meanwhile, back in the tunnel, Kira stirred suddenly. Her heart began racing. Her connection to Cole was pulsing wildly. Something was wrong. She sat up, trembling. Her eyes glowed brighter than ever before. And then, heavy footsteps echoed above, voices. "Human soldiers. She's under here." Someone shouted. Metal clanked as they approached the hatch. Kira curled tighter, her skin burning now. "Cole," she whispered in fear. "Where are you?" Kira crouched in the corner of the narrow tunnel. Her heart was pounding like a war drum. Her body trembled. Not just from fear, but from the unbearable heat rising inside her again. She could feel it, her connection to Cole weakening, flickering, like a flame losing oxygen. Her fingers gripped her chest as waves of warmth crashed through her muscles every second he stayed away. Her system slipped further out of control. Then she heard it. Boots on metal above her head. Loud voices, scanning beams. The hatch creaked. Someone was trying to open it. Kira's breath caught in her throat. If they found her now, she wouldn't survive what came next, not because they'd hurt her, but because Cole wasn't here. She closed her glowing eyes and whispered, "Come back. Please, I need you." Above ground, Cole was moving fast. Dr. Lenora followed behind him, carrying the medical case. "Keep your head down," he said. Turning corners quickly. "She's close," he added, tapping the signal sensor linked to Kira's pulse, "but she's fading fast. She's likely entering stage 3 of imprint withdrawal," Lenora muttered. "That's where the body stops responding to logic and only reacts to proximity," in simple words. Cole asked, his boots slamming the steel floors. "She's shutting down because you're gone," Lenora replied. Back in the tunnel, the hatch was finally forced open. 2 soldiers dropped down with weapons and scanners. They spotted Kira immediately, curled up, glowing like a trapped ember. "What is that?" One whispered. "Signal match confirmed. She's the one who drank the serum," said the other, raising a stun baton. Kira opened her eyes, barely able to move. Her voice came out dry and soft. "Please, don't touch me." The soldiers moved in closer. "She's in a meltdown phase. Grab her before she collapses." But before they could take another step, a loud voice echoed from above. "Step away from her." Cole jumped down into the tunnel, landing hard between Kira and the soldiers. His eyes fierce, body tense. "She's under my care," he said sharply. "She's not a threat." One soldier raised a scanner. "Orders from High Comanches." To be taken into custody for medical evaluation? You mean locked in a glass box and cut apart? Cole snapped, "Back off." Dr. Lenora stepped in from behind him. She held up her ID card, though it was marked inactive. "I am the lead scientist who designed the serum," she said coldly. "She's not property. She's a living being, and I am taking responsibility for her treatment." The soldiers hesitated, confused and unsure. Cole didn't wait. He turned, dropped to one knee beside Kira, and touched her cheek gently. The moment his fingers made contact, the glow in her skin pulsed brighter. Her breathing steadied. She opened her eyes slowly. "You came back," she whispered. Almost crying, "I said I would," he replied. "You're safe now." Dr. Lenora stepped forward and quickly ran a scan. "She's overheating. Nerve link is unstable," she muttered. She pulled out an injector and handed it to Cole. "This stabilizer might calm her system, but only if you give it to her." "Why me?" "Because her body only trusts your touch, your voice, your presence. She's emotionally and physically bonded to you now. She'll reject help from anyone else." Cole nodded. He gently pressed the injector into her arm as it hissed and delivered the formula. Kira gasped and clutched his hand. The burning began to fade. The wild lights across her skin dimmed, but her grip never loosened. "Don't leave again," she said softly. "Not until I can stand on my own." "I won't," he said, and meant it. Dr. Lenora stood and turned to the soldiers. "She needs time, not experiments. If you want to report something to command, tell them she's under medical observation." The soldiers looked at each other, unsure, then nodded and climbed back up the hatch. The tunnel was quiet again. Later that night, Cole sat beside Kira. In the lower medical zone, where Lenora had set up camp, Kira was wrapped in a thermal sheet, still glowing lightly, but no longer shaking. She turned to him and whispered, "Why are you helping me so much?" "I don't know," he replied honestly. "Maybe because you're the first one who ever looked at me like I mattered." She smiled, weak, but real. "You're the only one who can help me now," she said again, and maybe I was meant to meet you. Cole didn't respond with words. He just reached for her hand, and this time, she reached back first. The underground medical zone was quiet. Old machines hummed softly. The air was warm but calm, and Kira was finally breathing without pain. Her skin still glowed faintly, but the wild burning had stopped. The violent pulses inside her had faded into soft warmth, and for the first time since she drank that strange serum, she felt like herself again. Cole sat beside her, his back resting against the wall. Exhausted, dirty, but calm. Kira watched him silently for a moment, then finally spoke. "It doesn't hurt anymore." "Not like before." Cole turned his head and smiled gently. "That's good. Means the stabilizer is working." Dr. Lenora, sitting across the room, looked up from her console. "The bond is still there," she said, "but it's not unstable. Now it's steady, balanced." Kira slowly sat up on the cot, wrapping the thermal blanket around her shoulders. "So, what am I now?" she asked softly. "Still Valari, or something else?" "You're still you," Cole answered, "just a stronger version." Kira looked at him for a long time, then whispered, "You're different too." "You know?" "How?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. "You were cold when I first saw you," she replied with a soft smile, like a closed door. "Now, you're open. You feel warm, human." Cole chuckled under his breath. "I guess almost losing someone changes a man." Dr. Lenora stood and walked over to them. "I ran some final tests," she said, "and I know now what happened." She held up a datapad and continued. "The serum wasn't just designed for strength, was secretly created to bind soldiers emotionally, to build loyalty, protectiveness, and even affection toward a chosen target." Cole looked surprised. "You mean it was meant to make us fall in love?" In extreme cases, yes, she said. But it was banned before full trials. Too many unknowns. She pointed to Kira, but when she drank it, her alien biology mixed those effects with her natural instincts. She didn't just form a bond, she chose you as her anchor to stay alive. Kira looked down at her. Hands so. It wasn't real, she whispered. My feelings were just chemicals. No, Lenora said gently. The serum may have started it. But feelings can't grow unless you water them yourself. Kira was quiet for a moment, then looked at Cole again. You didn't run. Even when I was glowing, sweating, and saying weird things, you stayed. I don't leave people who need me, he replied simply. I didn't know what was happening. But I knew you didn't deserve to be locked in a cage for it. Her voice grew softer, almost fragile. You touched me like I wasn't dangerous. Like I wasn't a mistake. Cole leaned closer, meeting her eyes. You're not a mistake, Kira. You're incredible. Kira felt her heart thump faster, not from the serum, but from his words. For once, she wasn't reacting, she was feeling. Then, softly, slowly, she reached forward and placed her hand on his cheek. I was afraid I was becoming something I couldn't control, she whispered, but now I understand. He leaned into her touch gently. Understand what? That maybe the serum didn't just choose you for me. She said, maybe I did. There was silence. But it wasn't empty, it was full of meaning, full of something that didn't need to be explained anymore. Dr. Lenora cleared her throat softly. I'll leave you two alone, she said, backing away to give them space. As she walked out of sight, Kira scooted closer to Cole. The blanket slipped slightly off her shoulder. She didn't notice. She only saw him. I don't want to go back to who I was before, she said quietly, always hiding, always afraid. I want to be strong. With you, Cole nodded. Then stay with me, he said, not because the serum tells you to, but because you want to. Kira smiled this time with light in her eyes. Not heat, I choose you, she whispered, as the reason I'm still alive. He reached forward, took her hand in his warm, steady, real. No military lab, no command orders. Just you and me, he said, and whatever comes next, we face it together. 1 week later, news spread quietly through the base. An alien girl was seen helping repair a broken comms tower. She wore a human jacket and a soldier's tag. And beside her always was one human man, watching over her like a guardian. Some said she was dangerous, some said she was changed, but no one dared touch her, because everyone knew she had chosen a human, and that human had chosen her. Back